Good morning. Welcome to Lesson 2, Video 17. So, I'm going to get the beginning spiel out of the way. This is over 40 videos have come and gone since the very first lesson. If this is your first time watching me teach, it's not going to make much sense. So go back and start with Lesson 1, Video 1. How can you find that link? Simple. Right below this video, there should be a whole bunch of links. If you don't see any links, easy remedy. Find the little YouTube icon right around here. Give that a click or two. It'll take you to the dedicated page. About an inch below the screen, you'll see a button that says Show More. Click that and you'll see a whole bunch of links. I'm going to explore that with you right now so it doesn't overwhelm you. The first link description says Facebook. The second link description reads, the series of 52 lessons begins with Meditation Lesson 1, Video 1, a rose by any other name. Click that link. That's where you want to begin. Right below that it says remember to click, subscribe, like, and share. Below that it reads download the latest free practice materials. You'll want to click that as well because all my lessons are predicated on the assumption you have the latest free version of the PDF entitled the first set of practice texts. That's the one you want to use. Okay, we've got that out of the way. Who's watching my talking face now? Well, it's people who've watched all the videos and who have their practice materials in front of them. That's good. And of course, one of the free practice materials you can download in addition to the collection of practice texts is an image very similar to this. Let's get going. So, we're on page 15 of the first set of lesson texts. Sometimes there's a numbering debacle. You'll know it's page 15 because the first line reads, "He is brilliant." If that's not what the first line reads on your page 15, then go a little bit. Then go a page before it, go a page ahead of it, find it. Consider it an intelligence test. Okay, so we're on page 15. We're exploring the final quatrain on that page. It reads as follows. His back rests against a beautiful stainless smooth throne. He is the embodiment of all objects of Buddhist refuge. Now, you've heard me say, okay, let's have a quick pop quiz to make sure you've been paying attention for the 40 plus videos. What are the, we talk about the three lineages of Buddhism, the Theravada and the Mahayana and the Tantrayana, also known as the Vajrayana. Remember how I've told you that in every religion, in every sect of every religion, there's really two groups. What are those two groups? This is your pop quiz. I'll give you 5 seconds. Do you remember the answer? The two groups found in every sect of every religion are fundamentalists and liberals. Minions of orthodoxy or creative geniuses. Now that's not just limited to the spiritual realm. We see that in every endeavor, every scientific endeavor, every technical endeavor, every nutritional endeavor, every culinary endeavor, every fitness endeavor, every artistic endeavor, every financial endeavor, every professional endeavor, every endeavor. You have minions of orthodoxy and creative geniuses. So typically, 9 times out of 10, if there's anyone who will confuse a metaphor with a literal statement, it'll be our friends, the fundamentalists. This couplet, he is the embodiment of all objects of Buddhist refuge, is a metaphor. So one of the ways to understand a metaphor is to convert it to a simile. So let's explore this as if it was a simile. Chenrezig, the Buddha of compassion, not only has he learned Buddha's mental yogas, devotion, awareness, love, and letting go, but he has so mastered them. He has mastered them to the point that he's able to practice them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. In fact, we could say he has so mastered the techniques that Buddha has taught that it is as if his mind was the Buddha's mind. It is as if his speech and his style of communication was the essence of all the Dharma teachings combined. It is as if his body and all his body's actions were the synthesis of all the actions of all the great Buddhist saints throughout time. Now, can you see how that simile kind of makes it a little bit more clear? Good. Now, one thing that is hinted at by that phrase is this. Wouldn't it be convenient, wouldn't it be cool and useful if the Buddha of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, Kuan Yin, Chenrezig, whatever you call him, was your one-stop shopping? What if you only needed one Buddha, the Buddha of compassion? What if you only needed one mantra to invoke, the 6-syllable mantra? What if you only needed one name to invoke, Chenrezig? What if you only needed one bija to invoke, Free, H-R-I? Wouldn't that make the whole process simpler? It's useful to remember the history of Buddhism in Tibet. It's been said that in the 11th century, Tantric Buddhism came to Tibet through the efforts of Vimalamitra, Padmasambhava, and Vairocana, amongst many others. It's been said that that after the king who invited the Dharma into Tibet passed, he was replaced by a king who hated the Dharma. And he was pretty much a Tibetan version of Nero, who destroyed monasteries, burned scriptures, and slaughtered Dharma practitioners wholesale. Everything's impermanent, including evil bastards, and this fellow perished. It was replaced by a king who actually liked the Dharma and invited the Dharma and its teachings back into Tibet, as well as its practice. Some people call this the first Tibetan Buddhist Renaissance. And we're talking around about the 14th century. You know, I've got confused. Buddhism came to Tibet in the 8th century. The first Buddhist Renaissance took place in the 11th century. I beg your pardon. Numbers, not my strong suit. So, in the 11th century, during the first Tibetan Buddhist Renaissance, a king and his nephew sent emissaries to Tibet to implore the most renowned teacher to come to Tibet and teach. And that was a fellow named Sri Jana Dipankara, who was born the son of a Bengali king, but who became a monk who mastered both Sutra and Tantra. He was invited to Tibet, and after a while, through the advice of an emanation of Chenrezig known as Green Tade, he accepted the invitation and went to Tibet. He gave many, many teachings, but the teaching that is most famous, the teaching that every monk of every Tibetan sect remembers, is Atish's rebuke to the Tibetan people. It can be translated and paraphrased thusly: "You foolish Tibetans, perform the practices of 100 deities, do not receive a single attainment, while we Indians perform the practices of just one Buddha each. and receive the attainments of 100 Buddhas. So what he's basically saying is, guys, less is more. You don't need to memorize a 1,000 mantras for 100 Buddhas. It'll dilute your practice. You're better off with one practice, with one Buddha, with one mantra. Keep it simple, silly. That's the way to go. The great tragedy is, although virtually every Lama can quote that rebuke, very few really apply that. They've worked out all these spiritual sounding justifications and minimizations, justifications, minimizations, rationalizations, and fatalizations to practicing many, many, many sadhanas for many, many Buddhas and many, many mantras and many, many practices. And it's tragic. This couplet, he is the embodiment of all objects of Buddhist reference, can be argued, is an inference to say this practice is sufficient. You don't need 13,000 other practices. Some people really want to be spiritual and accomplish the path. Other people, if they have to choose between appearing spiritual and being spiritual, would choose the former. And that's tragic. Many people squander their lives chasing teachings and chasing empowerments instead of sticking with one teacher and one practice and accomplishing the path in one lifetime. And that's tragic. Folks, the Buddha taught in the conclusion of the Satipatthana Sutta that full enlightenment can be accomplished in as little as 7 years, or 7 months, or 7 weeks, or even 7 days. If you have a teacher who can't help you reach that goal on that timetable, then it's time to find another teacher. And that's all the Dharma you get today. Remember, there's only one test of a teacher. It's not how pretty he is. It's not how popular he is. It's not how wealthy it is. It's not how handsome he is. It's all about karma. It's all about causality. It's about how effective his teachings are in your life when you apply them. Which means, that's right, Sparky, you've got to apply the teachings. So it works like this. Suspend judgment, attend a discourse, an entry-level discourse, learn a technique. Practice the technique every morning, every evening for 6 consecutive days. At the end of the 6th day, engage your judgment and notice your results. If your results were crap, go find another teacher. If your results were good, come back, get more teachings. It's just that simple. I thank you for your time and your kind attention. I thank you for following my instructions and doing your homework. I thank you for attending your weekly webinar. And I thank you for making donations. They help keep me fed. Before you go, I'm going to remind you to find the subscribe button. Give that a click. After you subscribe, I want you to find a little box to check so you get email notifications of every upload. I want you to click the like button and the share buttons. Of course, below the videos, if you haven't already, it's a link to help you register for the next series of weekly webinars. When? When do they begin? Monday, the 7th of January. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.